Warriors dominating the league.
Warriors going to come up short, and questions abound. So what's next?
We are a fading dynasty. We're on the backside of the slope, but we still have potential.
Hopefully in a position to where we can go back to the drawing board this summer and come back next year and whoop up on some people. That's the goal. That would be the plan.
I think we can reshape the narrative, but we have to get back to the basics of what makes a good basketball team. Be a busy summer for the Warriors.
So that was Steph after losing the play-in game against the Suns last season. And since then, Golden State has yet to actually make a move this offseason. There have been about 80 players that have switched teams. The Warriors are one of only a handful of teams that haven't added any new players to bolster their veteran lineup. Of course, outside of the draft. Now on ESPN.com, our Warriors reporter Anthony Slater, he went into detail on the franchise standing pat after failing to land LeBron James. So let's dive into exactly what went into that with Anthony Slater, who joins us now. Slater, the Warriors, they kind of put all their eggs into the LeBron James basket, or that's what it seemed like from the outside. But internally, it felt as if they were not maybe serious contenders. You spoke with...
It's just that everyone kept saying we were. It never seemed serious to me, despite all the reports. And the reality is, while we were all looking for signs and hints about where LeBron was going, the Warriors were getting their own signs and hints, and that was a lack of communication. Shams reported that, LeBron in the late stages talked to Nick Nurse, because that's an important conversation. Steve Kerr never talked to LeBron James in this process, so that's a hint. And then Draymond Green's on vacation and getting intel and basically working as a leg of the front office. His contract was related to if LeBron was coming or not, and he's feeding them back pessimism, which he has talked about since. So they didn't hold up any business for LeBron. They re-signed Porzingis, re-signed Horford, chose Melton over pursuit of Anthony Simons, didn't want to pay what it cost to get Rui Hachimura, and they basically decided to run it back. And yes, they haven't added anybody from the outside, but really their plan was to bring this back together.
All right, so they bring it back together. Then the Warriors, they've taken some big swings at stars. We've seen this the past couple of years. I don't think it's quite fair to say that they haven't tried, right? And of course, they did acquire Jimmy Butler in 2024. But how, and I'm thinking back to the two timelines, maybe striking out on some picks, how did we even get to this point that this is the conversation we're having?
Yeah, look, they are paying for their past failures and draft failures, and we're talking about, going back to prior to even Mike Dunleavy taking over as the GM, the 2020 draft, James Wiseman, you get the second overall pick, and he's out of the league at this point. I mean, in between those picks are Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball, the core of the Minnesota Timberwolves. They liked Halliburton in that draft, but they weren't, willing to swing on that. So you look at that, obviously the Jonathan Kuminga developmental saga, the non-trades over the years. They could have traded Kuminga for Caruso at one point. That's kind of a point of angst at times in the organization. And then, it felt like they got a flicker of light back with the Jimmy Butler trade a couple of years ago. They go on a nice run. They get to the second round. They face some injuries. And then Jimmy Butler tears his ACL last year. And now they have an expiring $54 million second best player on the team that's very difficult to trade. So to me, the ACL tear is what was kind of like the final dying days of the Warriors.
Yeah, I was just checking really quickly. 23-15, that's what the Warriors were with Jimmy Butler and in the starting lineup last season. So there was reason to believe that this team could have been something, and then injury struck. So at the risk of saying, well, coulda, woulda, shoulda, is there something they could have done this season? Is there anything else they could have done this offseason?
They could have tried to really overpay for a big name trade, right? Like could they have bowled the Wizards over for Anthony Davis and tried to use that to lure LeBron James? Boston called around the draft night, and as they were canvassing the league on Jaylen Brown, and it floated the idea of 4 first-round picks in a swap. But you got to remember, as part of 4 first-round picks in a swap is the 2026 draft pick, 11th overall pick, Yaxel Lindenberg, who they already drafted, and they're really high on Yaxel Lindenberg. If you read the story today, I mean, Steve Kerr expects to play him a lot early on. They've come to fall in love with him during the draft process. Yaxel actually interviewed with him during the 2025 draft process and said, the quote he uses, they told him he was acting like a jackass in those interviews, and he showed him maturity after his year. He showed him maturity after his year at Michigan, and they expect to plug and play him right away. He's on a 4-year, $28 million rookie deal, and I think as we look back at this summer and this idea of a stagnant summer, if Yaxel Lindenberg on a 4-year, $28 million deal explodes as a really plug-and-play starting wing, I think we'll look at it differently.
Yeah, and that's a reason why they went for potentially an older player in this draft, someone who's a little bit more mature. I got to tell you, Slater, the other day I found a letter from an internship I did with the New York Times, and it laid out, it was like, 5 paragraphs, all the things that I could have done better and what I did well. None of it was the honesty that Steve Kerr just gave to Axel Lindenberg in that last interview that he did. So you know what? I appreciate that kind of feedback. We appreciate the time, Slater. Thank you very much. I did. But apparently I didn't need to be told that I was jacket. That's hilarious. All right. The over-under on Golden State's win total was set by 41.5 by DraftKings. That would be their lowest win total, though, Ramona, even though you're saying it's about right, since Draymond Green's rookie season in 2012, 2013. So let's dive into this a little bit more with Ramona, with Mark Spears, with NBA champ Kendrick Perkins as he's sliding in and out of frame. Perk, I'm going to start with you here. What's your reaction to the state of the Warriors, where they currently are?
That Steph needs to be planning his exit strategy from the Golden State Warriors.
Stop it.
No, I'm saying not this year, but think about it, Malika. Over the last 4 years, the Warriors have been in the play-in tournament. And guess what? This year, the way that the West is stacked up, they're going to be a play-in tournament team again. And so if you're Steph Curry going on the age of 39 and you look at this roster knowing that you have 4 NBA championships and know what a championship roster look like, you can't waste any more time hoping and banking that Mike Dunleavy is going to get it right or make the moves that's needed to make sure that you're able to compete for a title, especially in the tough Western Conference. I want Steph Curry to retire in a Warrior uniform, but I also want to watch Steph Curry play meaningful basketball. I want Steph Curry to be playing when it matters the most. And with this roster and what they have, he's not going to be there anytime soon.
Well, I think what Mike Dunleavy has now is the best option could be at the trade deadline. I think that's where great things can happen. And last time we didn't expect...
Sorry, but pause. I know great things can happen at the trade deadline, but not Steph moving. Not Steph.
No,
okay, I was like, wait a minute, that deserves a response.
Yeah, no, I think Steph signs his deal, and he is a Warrior forever.
Okay, continue. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Perk.
That's the Bay Area.
No. I mean, I just think at this point, having a legacy in one place is really hard to get. I mean, the things that Kobe did, Dirk did, Tim Duncan did, Ginobili did. I think Tony Parker regrets going to to Charlotte, and he could do it over, you know. And I'm sure Paul Pierce, your guy, which he finished in a Boston uniform. So I think, look, Steph got 4 titles. They still got an opportunity at the trade deadline, I think, just like you saw James Harden get changed. Something surprising can happen. They got assets to trade. You got potentially Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler. Kristaps got a nice contract you could move. They got 3 first-round picks. So it's on Dunleavy to show what he could do, I think, at the trade deadline to make some big moves to get Steph to be excited about finishing his career there.
This isn't like Dallas with Dirk, where they traded away all these guys after they won a championship, and then Dirk kind of finished out in this sad team without. They've tried every single year. Yeah. Like they've tried. And the most important thing, Slater's right. They love Yaxel. They're excited about his future. They have all of their draft picks through 2033. There's 1 year it's top 20 protected, but top 20 you can realistically think they're holding on. They have all of those picks. And when we talk about the trade deadline, they have offered those picks. They offered 4 of them to the Milwaukee Bucks for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Milwaukee just wasn't ready to trade him. Yeah. And they weren't that interested in that deal. They wanted a mixture of picks and players. They didn't. They were, yes, that is correct about Jaylen Brown, but they didn't want to trade for him and pay him an extension that he'd be looking for because it doesn't fit their timeline at all. They've shown restraint with Anthony Davis in those conversations, and so you still have a full cupboard of picks. Like you still have a full complement of assets. I think they're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah. I think it's too early to push the panic button on that, Perk.
Well, listen, I wasn't talking about trading Steph Curry right now, but what I'm saying is that when you talk about after this season, how long do we expect Steph Curry to be miserable? How long do we expect Steph Curry to continue to be in the play-in tournament? How long do we expect Steph Curry to have to deal with Draymond Green antics when it's not resulting and when the results are not getting to where he's trying to go? Yeah. Again, I could see, right, if we were witnessing a decline in Steph Curry game, but Hell, last year he averaged damn near 28 points per game.
I think that
Like,
Marcus Thompson is one of the Athletic is one of the best beat writers in the game today, and he went to Arkansas to go and chat with Steph Curry when he was at Moses Moody's camp this past week, and Steph essentially said, "I have my eyes wide open." And I'm okay with it. And I think that that's the natural curve of what happens in the lifetime of a dynasty. It rises and it fades, and it seems that Steph Curry is okay with them having done everything they could. WWE SummerSlam, that's the Saturday and Sunday perk, August 1st and 2nd, live from Minnesota. It starts at 6 o'clock Eastern, and it's on the ESPN app. You can stream it live on the app with the ESPN Unlimited plan. Coming up, though, our one-on-one conversation with Aces star Asia Wilson. She tells me what's still motivating her at this point. Oh, and of course, I had to ask her about being the greatest of all time.
She is.
I'm the GOAT, cool. I'm there. In my eyes, I've been the GOAT since '96. So this is just a part of it.
I'm still scorching hot in these streets, baby. Pull up,